Call of Duty Modern Warfare. What a series of games. There's the original one. This one's pretty different from the rest. It's more on the smaller scale and subdued. Then the original Modern Warfare 2, my personal favorite. It took what Modern Warfare did and elevated it to an 11. Then Modern Warfare 3. Not as good, to be honest. I remember not liking the campaign at all when it came out. I especially remember not being a fan of the retcon of Makarov being behind everything. But going back to it, it's alright. I can definitely appreciate it a bit more now. Then the reboot came out and saved Call of Duty. After Black Ops 2, I stopped playing Call of Duty. Mostly because Black Ops 1 and Modern Warfare 2 are dead as can be, and the only matches there now are all ruined by modders, or there's just not enough players, which is a shame because I really like the multiplayer. But when that reboot came out, and Warzone, you bet I was punching the air. It just looks really good, and I heard a lot of good things from the campaign, and after looking up a few clips online, it got me really interested. So when I got my hands on it, it was already too late for Warzone. The Cold War integration and sweats were in full swing, and honestly I was just let down. The campaign, however, blew everything out of the water. It was gritty, dark, cinematic, and good. The characters were likable, even newcomers like Farah, Alex, Laszlo, Adir, and Hamilton? And the story was fun and engrossing and definitely got my blood pumping at points, and it even ended pretty epically and definitely got me hyped for Modern Warfare 2. The multiplayer was also pretty fun, but we'll talk about multiplayer later. So, did I get Vanguard? No. You see, the only reason I got back into Call of Duty was because of Modern Warfare's campaign. And when I saw that not only was Treyarch still milking Black Ops after 10 years non-stop, they also went the reboot route. Not gonna lie, I saw this as a copy and paste and a cheap cash grab of what Infinity Ward did with the reboot, especially when it didn't look nearly as good as Modern Warfare 2019. And Vanguard, well, it was Vanguard. I played the open beta and alpha, and well, I was just not impressed. I was like, a Call of Duty World War II game. If I wanted to play a World War II shooter, I could play Battlefield 5 or Hell Let Loose. So during all of that, I was just waiting for Modern Warfare 2 to come out, and I purposely did not look at any of the story or cinematic trailers to prevent being spoiled, and so I could go into it as blind as possible. This is something I do with almost everything that piques my interests, like with shows or movies, as trailers and commercials give away way more than they need to. So I played the Modern Warfare 2 beta and I liked it, so I pre-ordered it so I could play the campaign early. And man, this looks great. It looks and feels like a movie. Everything from the models, the lighting, the cinematography, all of it is really well done, and it looks like it was filmed in front of a real camera. A huge step up from 2019's, because looking back, 2019's cutscenes still hold up, but the models look kind of plastic now. For the story, it's good. The first act is pretty strong, second act is also pretty good, third act, not as much. But we'll get into it later. But first, let's talk about why everyone plays Call of Duty. The multiplayer. It's good, it's Call of Duty, and they finally have a FOV slider, and they added dolphin diving back as much as I forget. The maps are alright. There's a map based off the Singapore GP, and there's even what looks like Formula rental cars parked and driving around too. But overall, I wouldn't say I have a favorite map. There's not even that many, and the ones that are, they're all sort of just okay. And of course you have shipment, because of course why create a new map when you can just bring back the same one you've been bringing back every time. It works with Black Ops with firing range and Nuketown, so why not do the same thing with shipment for Modern Warfare? And then looking at the progression, it's so confusing. It's not just leveling up and unlocking guns and attachments anymore. It's just needlessly complex, like you need to get a certain amount of kills or headshots with one gun to unlock this one, or level up this gun to unlock this side or class. Like, why do you need to do that? There's no reason, and the only thing it'll do to the casual player is leave them hanging with almost nothing, like me. And then there's the battle pass. Oh man, the battle pass. What do you even do here? This is so confusing. It launched with Warzone 2.0 and Season 1, and Warzone 2.0 is better than the original Warzone, especially the state that one is in now. But I wouldn't say it's that fun. 150 players is just way too many, and snipers or sweats are just everywhere, ruining it for everyone else. But I do find myself playing it every so often willingly, so it has that going for it over Caldera. But I also don't like how the icon on the home screen changes with every season that comes out. When the game launched, it was the cover of the game. That makes sense. And then Warzone launched, and then we got this. I guess. And now with Season 2, what the... Okay, so this is something that's been around ever since the first Warzone. Even for Vanguard and Cold War, and Warzone isn't even part of those two games. It's in Modern Warfare, so Modern Warfare suffered for it. It got so bad that during its final few seasons, the icon didn't even have Modern Warfare on it. It was just Call of Duty Warzone, or Call of Duty Caldera Warzone, or Call of Duty Cold War, whatever. Like, why buy one game? Just spend most of your time to unlock stuff for some other game that has nothing to do with each other than some battle royale mode that plays nothing like that one game you just got, because it's built on a completely different engine and has different mechanics. So when they add the weapons and stuff from that one game you just got, it completely breaks everything. And it's probably gonna happen again whenever the new Call of Duty game comes out. So Warzone 2.0 as you know it now is gonna be completely broken and suck when that next Call of Duty game comes out. And going back to 2019 Modern Warfare, when I finished playing the campaign for that one, in the credits, when the title pops up, it said Call of Duty Warzone in big letters with Modern Warfare in small words underneath it. I'm not the biggest fan of this whole rebranding thing with Call of Duty. It's fine with other stuff like Fortnite and PUBG because that's their thing with Battle Royale, but with Call of Duty, there's other stuff in there, like Spec Ops, but this Spec Ops is just okay. There's only 4 missions here compared to the 23 that were in the 2009 Modern Warfare 2. But these ones are pretty lengthy, taking you roughly about 30 to 40 minutes to beat, and it's basically all one story as the missions connect. So in that aspect, it's pretty cool, but kind of underwhelming at the same time. And they also say you can be stealthy, but with the few times I've done them, that's never really been possible. But overall, it's okay, I guess. And then recently they added Atomgrad. It's pretty cool. It involves Gaz, Prize, and Farah, who are coming to see what's up with Alex, who's making a return. Communication is pivotal here, and you can only start it with 3 players. And I went through it, and it was fun until you get to this part where you have to enter a certain combination that is scattered between 2 terminals. So 2 people have to be at each one, because there's 2 of them, while another person tells you what numbers are on a screen or whatever. It was annoying, and it took way too long, especially when you have to deal with enemies coming at you. But with all of that, it's time to get to the main event, the campaign. The main gist here is that you blow up an Al-Qatala general named Gorbrani, and then a few months later, a close associate of Gorbrani named Hassan Zayani wants to seek revenge for Gorbrani's death. But General Shepard from the original Modern Warfare 2 wants to stop him, so he sends Soap and everyone's favorite emo thirst trap, Ghost, to capture him, only to find American missiles instead. So the whole story focuses on you trying to capture him and find the missiles, all 3 of them. And then you find out he's working with the Las Almas cartel, which sends you to Mexico to work with Mexican Special Forces Commander Alejandro Vargas and Rodolfo Parra, as well as a PMC called Shadow Company led by Philip Graves. The first half of the game is pretty good. It follows the narrative pretty well as each mission leads to the next, and it remains pretty consistent. Then in the middle part, it derails a bit, especially when Laswell gets kidnapped, only for you to rescue her in the very next mission, leaving you to wonder what was the point of that other than a reason for a Flora cameo. Other than that, the middle part is still fine. And then in the final half, it just falls apart. You destroy 2 of the 3 missiles, and then Shadow Company and General Shepard betray you because, well, it happened in the original one, so why not just do it again? In the grand scheme of things, it's pretty unnecessary to the overall story. You already have the story with Hassan and the missiles, and a small side story with the Las Almas cartel, but to throw in Shadow Company and General Shepard's betrayal, especially near the very end, clutters and derails the story because 3 of the final 5 missions stray away from the main mission of Hassan and the missiles just so we could go and kill Graves. I remember halfway through the game, I was hoping it would be like around 10 hours or so, but it was at this point where I started to realize that it was starting to drag on a bit. So I kinda prefer 2019's story a bit more. It was just a bit better in terms of scenario, atmosphere, and writing. So, the reason General Shepard portrays you this time is due to him making a big oopsie one day while conducting an illegal sale of missiles to American allies in the Middle East, only for the entire convoy to get ambushed by Russian ultranationalists, which results in the missiles being stolen, which is how Hassan ends up with them. Of course, at the end of the game, after everything is said and done, you find out that it's Makarov who did it, setting up the events of Modern Warfare 3. Or, let's be real here, it's setting up the events of that expansion thing that's being manned by Sledgehammer that's coming out this year that no doubt is going to be nowhere near as good as Modern Warfare 2. Well, the missions are pretty good. There's no real bad ones, just to list a few. The first one is alright. The best part is when you're cleaning out the house. Then there's the Amsterdam mission. This one's one of the best looking missions in the game. There's some minor free roam. You can watch the band play, but other than that, there's really not much to do besides the main objectives. And then there's the crossing borders missions where you take control of Rodolfo and you cross over the Mexican border into the US. And in this one, you have a kind of a new mechanic they introduced where you have to aim at a person to keep them under control. And if you don't, they'll shoot and try to kill you if you don't do it first. And the cool thing about this is that the game doesn't restart if you kill them, except for this one guy that comes out swinging. So it's bringing some of that grip from Modern Warfare 2019 over that this game is pretty lacking in. And then there's that next mission where you're running down the hill. That one's pretty fun. You face off against the Mexican military and slowly start getting pushed down a hill as you have to hold up waves and waves of enemies. And the environment and terrain looks really nice too, especially when you're at the cliff overlooking the lake. And there's lots of points in this game where characters get hit and it only hits the armor plate. It happens here to this guy and Ghost, except this guy, he just dies. And this guy who was crossing the ledge that I thought was Rodolfo on my very first playthrough. You know, it's an alright addition. It adds a bit of tension and grounds the pacing a bit, so I guess it's fine with me. This mission is also home to the best looking cutscene in the game. In the cutscene, you travel through the city and get a feel of what life's like in Los Alamos. The cartel walk around freely, paying off the military and putting on some sort of show by playing nice with everyone. And this is when you first learn of El Sin Nombre. Then there's the 2 AC-130 missions. Those were pretty fun. And then there's the mission in Spain. You're in ghillie suits for this one. It's a pretty cool mission. It's really open. You can approach it however you want, and a random backpack gets introduced here where you can alternate through a variety of stuff. In this mission, you're looking for the missiles, which involves you going to a set of warehouses, and here you can either go guns blazing through the front door or roof, or drop a tear gas down a vent and draw them out so Price can pick them off one by one with his sniper. Or you could just throw a grenade down there. And you even have this sniping part where it's similar to one shot, one kill from the original Modern Warfare, because you have to take wind and distance into effect. This is a part where you can make the mission easy or hard. You can either get them all, leading to the mission being a pretty easy stealth mission, or you can be a bad shot, putting everyone on high alert and getting the area put on lockdown. And then there's also this part where it pays homage to All Ghillied Up, when you have to stay still as a convoy of enemies pass you. And this part while heading to the first warehouse. You can just crawl around them, or if you're like me and got caught off guard, wait around for a few minutes. Not gonna lie though, I struggled on this mission a lot. I died way too many times, especially to these armored guys, and then I got stuck for an hour on this mission at the final warehouse because I ran out of tear gas and had to take them to the roof. And then the guys from earlier came back and Price wasn't that much of a help, so I died even more. Especially to these guys who pop out of nowhere. The next one is a pretty fun mission. It's the only one where Nikolai appears, and it's the one with Farah in it. There's a lot of wild and crazy stuff that happens here, like Garrick falling out of the helicopter, which leaves him hanging in the middle of a busy street, and then jumping down from vehicle to vehicle, and then you're dodging mines, and then dodging a BTR the next. This one was pretty action-packed, and it didn't drag on, luckily. And then there's the El Sin Nombre mission, where you infiltrate the Las Almas cartel compound and get interrogated by Valeria. You have options on what you can say, so you're basically just playing 2 truths, 1 lie. Except here she knows what's the truth and what's the lie, and she has a counter for every lie you tell her, so she just shoots you if you lie. A nice little detail is that the one guy that's alive named Nunez also appears in the mission from earlier while you're running down the hill. After that part though, you're let loose throughout the building. Here, the mission really opens up as you have a variety of options of how you want to do this. You could either go, straight up guns blazing, or, do stealth, go straight forward, or, sneak in through the roof. And once you get to Diego, you can either kill him if you're already caught, or take it from right under his nose. And with that, you get to the penthouse where Valeria is, and by the way, she's El Sin Nombre. And now, the way you find out about this is different depending on how you played and what you did earlier on in the mission. If you do this stealthily, Valeria is on a phone call, and either Diego or a random cartel member, if you kill Diego, will call Valeria by El Sin Nombre, or if the place is on high alert, they'll barge in to tell her the base is under attack. But after finding this out, you tell Alejandro, which catches him off guard and asks if you're sure. Either way, regardless if you did this stealth or guns blazing, you breach the room and kill everyone but Valeria inside, meaning Diego is dead either way. The very next mission feels like a mix of The Only Easy Day Was Yesterday from the original Modern Warfare 2 and Crew Expendable from the original Modern Warfare. It's also a really cool mission, but this part can be a little annoying. I got crushed way too many times. Then there's what I consider to be one of the best missions in the game, Alone. In this one, you're critically wounded and outgunned, so you have to stealth your way through a hostile city to Ghost, who is ahead of and guiding you all the way. And the two even bond over some lighthearted and twisted jokes. And Graves and his shadow company have made a full-on heel turn as they go around killing civilians indiscriminately while looking for Hassan. But what makes this mission stand out is the exploration and the main gimmick, crafting, because apparently that's the thing now. You can craft a variety of things like a makeshift bomb, smoke grenade, or prying tool with all the materials scattered around. And there's also 2 safes in the mission you can unlock by finding the combination or searching around for hints that are scattered around the area. I think this is pretty cool because after all, Soap is Special Forces, so of course he'd be able to do all these things and survive. After a while though, you find adrenaline and Soap is more or less back to fighting shape, and with the guns you find that are scattered around, or the ones that you pick up off enemies, you're pretty much set. And I did end up getting caught though, but because of all the stuff I had and I was able to create, I was able to kind of easily survive. And I easily spent an hour on this mission though, just going around and finding stuff. So this one was really fun. And then the last notable one I want to bring up is the very next mission where you break Alejandro out of prison, because at one point you're guiding Ghost with the camera so he can plant C4 charges under cars. I could have gone without this one returning. In the 2019 Modern Warfare, it was tense and added to the atmosphere and progression. While here, it's just not the same. But after planting all the charges, you storm the prison and free Alejandro and his men and start fighting your way out. And if you planted all the charges, you just made this easier since you get to blow up the tanks that arrive. But most importantly, we finally get to see Price and Soap meeting. Oh, and also the formation of Ghost Team 2 missions later was pretty cool, especially with Ghost unmasking even though we didn't see his face, but he gets his original balaclava skull mask back, so that's pretty cool. Overall, the missions were pretty good. There's not really any ones that I would say are bad, but I would like to comment on just how hard the game is compared to previous Call of Duties. I played it on regular and I died a lot. And it doesn't help that the enemies now have body armor, so you can't just run and gun anywhere without the threat of getting picked off from out of nowhere. So, good job Infinity Ward. Well, what about the characters? Well, you have Soap, who's the main character this time around. His arc is tied with Ghost, as they spend the whole game together. They go from Soap being some sort of fanboy, while Ghost finds him annoying, to being a team and being close to one another as the game progresses. The climax of their arc comes during Alone, where they talk and tell jokes to each other. It's pretty well written and gets you invested in the two. Well, while on the topic of Ghost, he's definitely better here than he was in the original Modern Warfare 2. In the original, he was just kinda there, and the reason he was so popular was because of his skull mask. Here, he does a bit more, and he has a bit of a more grim personality. And then you have Alejandro and Rodolfo, the new characters. I like them, they're cool. They're pretty well written too. They don't really have a story arc though, but I know a few people who remind me of them. And then you have Garrick, or Gaz, returning from 2019. He doesn't play as big as a role as he did there. He's mostly absent so we could focus on Soap and Ghost. So Garrick is just kind of here to keep some sort of continuity from Modern Warfare 2019. So everything I just said for Garrick can be said the same for Captain Price. It's a shame since his darker and grim personality was one of the better parts of 2019's story, and here it's kind of just gone, with it only briefly appearing when he threatens General Shepard. So while sticking to the Modern Warfare 2019 characters, Laswell returns, though I don't really have much to say about her. So there's Graves, and then new addition, he leads Shadow Company, and at first I was expecting him to betray us at some point, until I didn't. But of course he did end up betraying us after being attacked and giving everyone a chance to walk away. But to be fair, he did massacre an entire town and order his men to kill you, and you do kind of get a sense that something's off with him though. And after him you have Hassan. He's gone after the first act, only appearing again during the last mission, so not much to say about him. What about Valeria? Everyone lost their minds when they saw Valeria. She's okay, she's the leader of the Las Almas cartel, never taking anything seriously like when she's getting questioned. You know, here she just kind of insults everyone. She has some history with Alejandro, both being in the same unit, but it's not explained beyond that. She's a bit on the comical side though, and you just get the vibe that she's toxic. Well, with that, we have General Shepard, being played by the voice actor for Overlord from the original Modern Warfare 2. His model is the most realistic looking out of all the characters, and they kind of do a good job making you think he won't betray you this time, but there's points where you're like, nah, he's definitely gonna betray us. I already said I'm not the biggest fan of his betrayal. It did not need to happen. Sure, it's the main driving factor of the story, with him being the reason Hassan has the missiles, but you also had Imran and Victor Sakaya from the ending of Modern Warfare 2019, and then Warzone messed that up. Imagine how Modern Warfare 2 could have been with it taking place not long after the ending of the first one, with Task Force 141 fighting Sakaya to prevent them from breaking Hadir out of prison. Oh well. Overall, I'm glad I played through Modern Warfare 2's story. It was good for what we got. It kept me invested. It took me around 7 hours to beat, and while the game may be flawed, especially on the multiplayer and Warzone side of things, well, you could say that about all games nowadays. You know, just releasing a game incomplete and just finishing it later under the guise of free updates and seasons. Nintendo has been the biggest culprit of this in recent years. But then again, I still bought Modern Warfare 2, and even 2042 when that came out, because past me is an idiot. Despite that, Modern Warfare 2 is still kind of fun, so you could bet that when that expansion comes out, that I'll be watching that on YouTube.